What up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here, fresh from coming outdoors inside, because that's what most people do, right? Unless they're doing the outdoors, going more outside. But anyway, I'm here joined by
Gersh1.
And once again, we're back at it, answering more of your questions in another installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we have those questions first. Also, if you enjoy our content and you want to support the channel, you can hit us up with a super thanks. If you do, you will lead the next Greater WAAAGH. Whatever question you have will be part of the thumbnail question for the next episode, and you will forever be part of the legacy of the Greater WAAAGH, which is what
Irish Monster 13 has done. His question is, do you think that Primarch should become Vashtor's first demon prince? Would it be a good fit for the both of them?
That's a really good point, and that's something that we were bitching about in a previous episode, where we were saying that Primarch is kind of like the ugly stepchild of the Primarchs. He was always given the worst of the worst when it comes to like the battlefield roles, and even when he became a traitor, he wasn't liked by any of the four major chaos gods. Yeah. He's kind of undivided.
He was still given like the short end of the stick, so to speak.
So it'd be kind of like a redemption arc to be like, see Emperor, see Dad, like there is someone that loves me even though he is half machine and not really a full god yet.
Yeah, because that's interesting, because in order for him to be a demon prince of Vashtor, that would mean that Vashtor would have to ascend to godhood, which would mean that Vashtor would be the first model to be a god and also be playable on the tabletop. So because of that, I don't think it'll happen lore-wise, even though it'd be pretty cool to have the Dark Mechanicum have Vashtor as the Omnissiah, aka the chaos god of machine technology innovation. But let's throw that aside and let's see if these two creatures, because I guess, yeah, a demon is still a creature, actually makes sense together. So Primarch is a shield breaker, I guess you could call him that.
Yep.
Because he had that whole rivalry with Dorn, who was all about making shields and defenses and stuff like that. And obviously the Iron Warriors were always there to break that shield.
Right. And I think the reason that he is considered like the tinkerer, or like he's connected to like siege warfare, is because, he's connected to machines because whenever there's siege warfare, you need big ass machines to break these walls.
So there you already have the machinery there. You have the stubbornness of like a machine where it doesn't give up. It's not about emotions. You're going to keep doing the thing you're meant to do because that's your only, I guess, objective in life if you're a machine. Like you're made for a certain purpose and that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But his apotheosis to demonhood has already been granted. Yes. So what could Vashtor give him that he doesn't already have?
Right. And I think that's the big problem of like, because we know that once you ally yourself to one chaos god, you're done.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens when you ally yourself to all four chaos gods? Is there an escape thing that you can do to be like, oh, never mind, Vashtor is my actual patron?
Yeah. If this is possible, I think he'd lose power because he would stop getting it from all the chaos gods or undivided, whatever you want to call it, and just be tied to Vashtor. And we've seen that Vashtor, as powerful as he is, he was losing a battle against Be'lakor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fighting on Caliban, and Vashtor was fighting against Be'lakor, and Be'lakor was literally throwing shadows, cutting him up. It was kind of one-sided at first, and then Vashtor got the upper hand, so it was going back and forth. But never once did I think, wow, Vashtor is this almost omnipotent being. It's like, no, he's still kind of on the same playing field as like a greater demon.
Yeah, so there's a long road for Vashtor to even empower a Primarch. However, I do like another thing that is known for, or that is tied to Vashtor, is innovation, right? Like, so Primarch could be that. Like almost like helping Vashtor in like figuring out a way to go around being empowered by all four chaos gods and still getting Vashtor as his like patron because of the innovation and like because of he creates something new.
Yeah.
Similar to what is the forge in the warp? The Hellforge? So like the Hellforge is like a Hellforge creates a demon engine for Khorne to use, but at the end of the day, if Khorne decides to attack the Hellforge, that construct is going to attack Khorne.
Right.
So it's that same kind of concept of like, what if Primarch finds a way to make a deal with the four Chaos Gods to be like, I will fight for you guys, but if you guys ever try to attack Vashtor
or the Hellforge,
I'm gonna attack you guys.
Yeah.
So it could be like that.
Mm-hmm. Or that could be another thing too. Maybe these two, Perturabo and Vashtor, can make an alliance where they'll take away all the demon engines from the Chaos Gods.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you could have like a Forge Fiend for Slaanesh, a Mauler Fiend for Siege, fighting. But when these two have a certain plan or that certain world they have to attack, they can pull from the 4 Chaos Gods and have them fight for them as well.
If anything, all this teaches us is that there is power in communication, negotiation, and a form of loyalty, even if that loyalty is founded on shaky ground.
Yeah. Although if Perturabo fought Vashtor, I still think Perturabo would win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Vashtor has a long way before he can empower any type of Primarch.
Exactly.
Next question comes from Benjamin5309. Does Trajan the Infinite get along with the Silent King?
I've seen him kiss once or twice.
But the Silent King is not technically liked.
True.
Yeah.
He did kind of dip out on the whole Necron race, left the galaxy, and now that he's back, he's trying to ally and take certain dynasties to rally for his cause. Not everybody liked that, because of course if you're like Trajan or Emotech, you already have your own dynasty, you have your own control, you have your own ideas, goals that you want to do, and the Silent King just saying, no, forget about that, join me. Like that's going to rub him the wrong way.
And I think that's the whole point of what the Silent King is doing. Now he's going around and saying like, sorry, like I fucked up, but can you join my dynasty again? Or can your dynasty join the greater Necron faction to like conquer the galaxy again? Right. So it's basically the War in Heaven 2.0.
It is, honestly.
Or 3.0, because I think there was, yeah.
Yeah. The thing about this, though, is that GW likes to start stories and never continue them, or continue them years later. So the Necrons basically had nothing going on for a long time, and then they had a lot going on with 9th edition, and that's it. Yeah. They've had their time in the sun, now they're going back in the shadows for who knows how long. So will we ever get to see Trajan and the Silent King and any other dynasty move their timeline forward? We'll just have to wait and see. But it'd probably be a long time from now.
Yeah, but it also highlights a really cool thing about 40K is like, so the moment you said that, it made me think of like Game of Thrones and how there's always like moving parts and you have to negotiate with this house because like Lannister, Starks, blah, blah, blah. With the dynasties of the Necrons, it's kind of the same thing. So if anybody wants to create some type of story in 40K, you don't have to tie yourself to the Space Marines. You have the dynasties of the Necrons. You have the clans of the Orcs. Like, there's just so much rich fluff for you to like mess with.
Yeah, and if you want more lore on these guys, definitely recommend reading The Infinite and the Divine. It's basically two Necron lords talking to one another and doing goofy stuff like creating black holes and blowing up a quarter of the galaxy.
Necrons are pretty powerful.
Yeah, like the laws of physics don't apply to them.
Yeah. Next question.
This one's by Stupid Beetle. I'm super offended by your blasphemy about Jesus. You do realize he was probably the emperor and you just talk shit about his mom? I'm telling the Inquisition.
Do it, because who's his mom?
Yeah, exactly. Because wasn't he created by 12 shamans fusing into one?
I thought it was 100.
Was it 100 shamans?
It was either 10 or 100. I know there's a 0 in that.
I think you've been watching too many episodes of Shaman King.
Or maybe Ben 10.
It's got to be Ben 10.
Yeah.
Benjamin 10,000.
Yeah. Sorry. We apologize, I guess, for talking about your Lord and Savior.
How has he saved you today? Let us know in the comments.
He hasn't. Spoiler alert. Next question comes from the Big 16071. Am I the only one that has like the numbers after?
No, I see it. Sometimes I ignore the number.
My baby mama's always crying whenever I forget her birthday or sleep with her best friend. Why is she always crying?
Tears are just weakness leaving the body. She's training to get stronger so that one day she can overcome the necessity to have the big one in her life. Because there's always a bigger fish in the sea.
And I think when you title yourself the big one, those are heavy shoes to fill. And obviously you said your wife?
His baby mom.
Oh, his baby mom's is definitely going to have to like cry to fill those shoes.
Mm-hmm. They're probably like Jordans, right? Big one. I think he said some in one of the previous questions. He wanted to get some J's.
Yeah, for sure. Next question.
This one's by Dairy King. How does somebody with so much riz get their heart broken? But the real question is, does every Forge World believe in the Omnissiah?
And then for the Riz question is, sometimes you have all this Riz and you want to give it to the right person, but then you're stupid. So Riz does not mean that the stupidity that you do is going to go away.
Yeah. You got to focus on a different part of the word charisma. Don't focus on the Riz, focus on the care.
Damn, that's deep. I should have cared more, yes. So what was his real question?
Does every Forge World believe in the Omnissiah?
Yes, to a certain extent, every Forge World, regardless of whether it's Mars or not, believes in the Omnissiah. Just the belief of the Omnissiah is a little bit different. Just like the Imperial Church or cult or whatever.
The Ecclesiarchy.
The Ecclesiarchy, yeah. You can believe that the Emperor is tied to like your volcanic world like the Promethean cult does. That's still believing in the Emperor, and it's the Omnissiah is the same way. You can still believe in the Omnissiah, but just believe that the Omnissiah is not the Emperor or something like that. So there's different varieties. Think of the Catholic Church and how like when Spain was conquering all these different places, they adopted a lot of these other ideologies into like the core of the religion.
Yeah, that's why you have like Christianity is like the overarching, I guess, theocracy, and then you have like Christianity,
all the other denominations,
non-denominations, etc.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they all believe in the same thing, even though they don't.
Yeah, it's slightly different, but close enough that they're like, you're good.
And also, like, it's all fake.
Yeah.
The Omnissiah is not real, guys. They're just like putting oil on like tires. And then last question. Do you have one?
Yeah, this is by Matthew Gibbons. Hoping this question hasn't already been asked, but do you think that Constantine Valdor is due to return in some spectacular heroic way or corrupted? What are your theories as to where he went and what he was doing, and what about the guidance of the Emperor? I think many of us here loved his lore and want him to return in some powerful way.
I think it was spoiled in one of the images where he's fighting the emissary, right? The Tyranid
that was
Norn emissary.
It's not Constantine Valdor, it's the other guy. Because Valdor is like the OG custodian from like 30K who left. You're talking about the current leader of the custodies. I always get him confused. Because I think his name is also starting with like a C or something.
Oh, I thought that was the same one then. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Constantine Valdor was like the Emperor's right-hand custodian guard. He was sparring against Horus, and they ended up like being at a standstill. Like he was on Primarch level. He left the Emperor, and it kind of, it's been confirmed, but I've seen sources say that that's not 100% confirmed. But Constantine Valdor is known as the Yellow King in certain sectors of space, and supposedly he has an army of blanks, and he's got a faction of space marines with angelic wings that he's commanding. And apparently his goal is to kill the Emperor or speak the Emperor's true name to allow something epic to happen for the galaxy.
So if that happens, it's one of those endgame scenarios again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you have an army of blanks and you got like angelic space marines on your side.
Yeah, it's going to be epic when it happens, though.
Yeah, I've got like 6 or 7 pages of just notes on this guy because I want to make a video on him. But every time I'm wanting to, some other little bit of lore peeks out, and it's like, wait, does this contradict that? So eventually I'll make a 40 facts on this guy because he is really cool, really awesome. But yeah, we'll just have to wait till we get more information on him.
Yeah. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. As always, it's been the Sound Alchemist here with the one, the only,
Kirsch1.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation. I knew I never had that much like a loser.